The thickens plots.
The thickens plots. That armor do got a pretty thick booty though, if you look at it. Open up your own copy of the episode and sing it over the timer that's gonna appear in the server's hands at the end of my countdown. Let's start the episode in 3, 2, 1, play. Monkey crab chimera.
Mystery.
Oh, here we go again. Understand each other so much. Can't tell her left from her right like Kiwi.
Uh-oh.
Booba!
That's... Yeah.
Just let the booba fly free.
Gonna go right... Just gonna go right through him. No.
Just stabs him and then he dies. End of story. True the Owarimonogatari. Evil and older than aberrations are.
The sword has no handle.
It's just a blade.
Yeah.
Imagine actually trying to use a sword that long.
Especially without a handle. That would hurt so bad. Oh, the snake is...
Kaka. The show of weird laughs. Emulating One Piece right now.
No, that's too normal of a laugh for One Piece.
Didn't even get 69 points. You're a failure, Aragi. Oh yeah, we were gonna talk about this OP, so yeah.
Yes, I talk about OPs. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what I was supposed to look for.
We were talking about how this OP tells more of a story than other Shinobu's OPs. And see if you could actually pick up something from it, but guess not yet.
Well, kind of look like maybe it's from back in the time when she was being praised as a god.
Yeah. Tasukaru.
Double hoodie. Did nothing. You have to close it.
I mean, we all know that Kabu would rather just set herself free.
That's what I do when I change. Like, if I'm in public, you just wiggle it out the top.
I don't think they show it. I shall wait till the discussion. Yes. In case you realize it, but you probably don't remember the exact details of how Nekoshiro ended.
Rarely do I.
Yes.
I wish I could have a perfect memory and just be like, oh yes, this lines up exactly with how this went. And these two things mean this because of this. But my brain just goes, yep, I have finished watching it and it's gone forever.
But yeah, later when I mention it during the discussion, you'll probably remember.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
What is this music?
We had to do all of that just for that. Okay. Yes, they were.
And then it left and left.
This face.
Perfect.
Why did we even do that?
It's a fun spiral.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is how Monogatari usually does its like far away shots like this with the leading lines. Whereas that was kind of missing with Hana, with it being super chaotic.
Yeah.
Oh my god. She pulled an SSR Aragi.
Nah.
Hmm. I mean, we know that Oshino has no siblings. He has no father family. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it seems like she has some sort of reason for keeping the fact that she's related to Kambaru secret.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you already know everything about everyone? Yeah, you should write a story, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that naming sense is actually explained until a later part in the light novels. Hasn't yet to be adapted. Don't know the specific details, but I saw another character in Mudai that had a very, very awkward name like that too.
Gotcha.
Still refuses to call her Izuko.
Mm-hmm.
400 years. Mm-hmm. Gotta go with the full name again.
Every time.
Yeah, we saw this in Kizu.
Temporarily successful.
I mean, he still woke back up 400 years later, so.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So yeah, that was like the black mist that was on the armor. Those were his ashes. They were slowly clumping together, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. I feel like maybe that shot might be trying to insinuate that Guy just views people as like a pawn, essentially, seeing how they move about.
Mm-hmm.
But Araragi is just a erratic pawn that doesn't listen to anybody and does things that she doesn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're the protagonist, yes.
The difficult cucking noise.
Well, even she can't control her, so.
The samurai really did step on the tiger's tail.
If I was burning for 400 years, yeah, I'd be scared of fire. Yeah, that's the shot from Nekokuro, the end of the OP.
Mm-hmm.
The exact saying. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, rookie. Why is Guy in there?
mm.
Well, at least he has that going for him. Jesus. Yes, she would.
I realized I said almost nothing this episode.
Yes.
I was thinking. I was doing a lot of thinking, and I don't know what I'll have to show for it.
Well, we're gonna see during this discussion.
Oh, you know. Monogatari is a heck of a thing to wake up to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't have you watch Monogatari if we weren't so tight with the schedule. But yeah,
I know.
it's come down to this. Hopefully next week we won't have to do it like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's basically confirmed that the suit of armor is actually the first of kin. Whereas the aberration that we fought was kind of like a improper aberration, I guess. It was just like a collection of energy that took the form of things that we have seen before. And there were a few of those things running around that Shinobu was fighting.
Yeah.
Probably because of what's going on here and why the first of kin actually revived into a physical form. We've seen Aragi in this like ripped up jacket. That was during the end of Nekoshiro. If you remember, he was standing on top of the building after plunging the sword into the tiger with a ripped up jacket.
So this is like continuity, like when Mickey lost his shirt in Kingdom Hearts 0.2.
Yeah.
I see. It all makes sense to me now.
We're getting very close to that moment that matches up with the end of Nekoshiro.
Watching this episode, I was stuck thinking more big picture than I was about the smaller arc mystery.
Oh yeah, there is a very big picture mystery that's going on here as well, right?
That's what I was just distracted with the whole time. Because my brain has been stuck in this kind of like blood sea ending kind of theory. But I'm also trying to separate that and think just with what's presented in front of me. But it very much feels like this kind of orchestrated production, especially when we're around Guyan or Oki. Like, the closer we get to those two characters, just the more orchestrated and the more everything kind of just goes as it should. Because last episode, I was thinking it wouldn't be the first minion simply because that's what it's setting up being. And things usually like to subvert expectations. But then we bring Guyan into the mix, and it's like, well, no, then it would be exactly as it's presented, right?
Well,
and so
unless
then
if
I'm
Araki does something, but yeah.
Well, Araki could do something. But when it's presented like this, and Araki's kind of just going through what's been placed before him, which is a lot of the arcs, especially like because you have ones like when him and Shinobu went back in time, right? And they're just messing with stuff.
Ooh,
and that's just pure Araki chaos. More storytelling wise than something like this one is. Because when I think of like the 3 arcs where Shinobu's been overly present, right?
Yeah.
We have the one with the darkness, the one where they went back in time, and then leading into this one here. 2 of them are very similar, and one of them is more different. More different, yes. And when I think about, how we concluded the 2 that are similar, at least thus far, they've gone on pretty much the same path. I feel like when Hachikuchi left the story, things have gone as Guyan has predicted. I don't know if that is me reading too far into things or not. that the lost snail or whatever would be there to kind of act as a foil, but
I mean,
Hachikuchi disappearing has kind of left a place for both Guyan and Ogi to really step in and just take control.
I mean, I can't really say
when Hachikuchi disappeared that Ogi basically took her place. Hachikuchi was always there to kind of help guide Araragi through her own kind of chaos. But now we just have Ogi and Guyan who are both gaslighting queens.
When you mention it like that, thinking back, right? At the start of a lot of the arcs, it's always like a conversation between Araragi and Hachikuchi, right? But then later on, especially during the Owari here, it's always started us off with Ogi, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get what
and
you're
it's
trying
not
to
a
say.
conversation anymore. It's Ogi just pushing
Making
him in
statements.
one direction.
Yeah.
There's no back and forth. It's all just placement. But that's again why I say the one where they go back in time ends up so much more different. But in that we still have Hachikuchi that's there to have that conversation with Aragi. Hachikuchi leaving the story has to have some sort of significant impact other than just she fulfilled her role as a wandering spirit or whatever. It was such a big deal that she was there, from the large darkness thing absorbing and destroying shit to Guyan herself having to step in and help her disappear. Maybe I just like Hachikuchi a lot, so even in Shinobu's arc, I'm gonna be stuck thinking about Hachikuchi again. But that's where my mind went.
Well, still, like, this is a big picture kind of moment. Like, we're looking 15 years into the past. Everything that has happened from 15 years to now seems to be not just a coincidence. Everything seems to be planned in some way.
So then you wonder, like, Araragi's connection to the first minion, right? If we want to try and bring it back to this arc story. Because you could just have the connection be purely Shinobu. But I feel like having Araragi's VA voice the first minion probably has more significance than just wouldn't it be funny? or misleading. I don't know.
Yeah.
If the story goes back 15 years, how old is Araragi in this?
I'm assuming he's like 18.
So it wouldn't have been when he was born, but just after.
I mean, there's a lot of weird events that are going on in this town, right? With Shinobu choosing to come back here, of all places. All the girls' aberrations, Araragi running into them just consecutively back to back. It's not just because he's the main protagonist, but it's more like something is happening to this town. Whatever is like drawing these things in and creating these situations that Araragi is running into.
Kind of.
Or maybe
it is kind of like that, except for she said that the tiger itself was pure coincidence.
Well, the samurai stepping on the tiger's tail was pure coincidence, yeah.
But when she was listing all the girls, she didn't list Hanakawa specifically like that.
Hanakawa was a different case, I guess you could say. Her aberration was different.
But that would imply then that the others are orchestrated in a way that Hanakawa's wasn't.
Maybe. I can't say anything about that. I'm very, very careful with my words right now.
I know. I'm trying so hard to get my brain to function right now. We kind of have, at this moment in time, the big players on the board being Guyan and Ogi. Yeah. But I feel like that's a shift, right? Because previously we had Oshino, who was kind of not controlling, but necessarily monitoring.
More like mediating the situation, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was there and a part of it, but not necessarily trying to play God around it. With Oshino stepping aside for whatever reason, we now have two players who are basically trying to step in and take control of everything. Whatever everything is. You have people like Araragi and Hanakawa and potentially Hachikuchi, who have been the foils to this story that they're trying to set up. So far, Hachikuchi has been removed from the equation, which just kind of leaves Hanakawa and Araragi as like the pure wild cards for them. Hanakawa is more of a wild card just in that she's not always in the front and center of everything, whereas Araragi is. I feel like Kanbaru's relation to Guyan matters here, which is why she hit it, but I can't come up with a reason for it right now.
We did actually discuss this back during Suki Monogatari, the end of Suki, where Tadatsuru was talking about how he was the perfect person to be casted to fight against Araragi, and he was questioning who and why. Why am I even here? Why am I doing this? Well, guess I'll die, right? But before he died, he talked about Oshino and how that man, you must find that man, for he can make things proper once again.
I feel like Oshino was definitely the thing that was holding this back from whatever kickstarted the two of them going off on whatever they're doing.
An interesting
Oshino
question.
Disappearing.
Yeah, like why did Oshino come to this place in the first place? Why was he here? When just to immediately stop Araragi from dying in Kizu? Why did he hop in at that very moment in this town of all places? Even though he doesn't have a family, it's not like this is his hometown, right?
He was here briefly from our perspective. Like, we don't know how long he was here prior. He had to have been here longer just because he went to school with, I'm blanking on his name, Kaiki.
Yeah, he went to school with Kaiki, Guyan, Kagenui. They were all
I
in school
assume that
together.
would have been local to Japan at the very least, since the rest of them seem Japanese. So he was here prior to his interaction with Araragi. 15 years prior? Who knows? Yeah, so then he helped Araragi in his situation, guided Araragi through the first few aberrations, and then vanished.
My theory of why he vanished is because he decided to leave the cast. Because everybody who was part of the cast was being manipulated by someone in some way, and everything was falling into place too much for these people. And so with Oshino outside of the cast, maybe he's able to sway the story somehow from wherever he is.
Yeah, but then we have the question of, by leaving the cast, does that remove him entirely, or is he still somewhere doing something to affect the outcome?
We don't know. We don't know Oshino's side of the story at all. Who even is Oshino? We don't know.
I don't know, he's got a lot of relatives for a guy with no relatives.
That's true.
I think this is the most that I'm gonna have right now.
Okay.
I think I'm starting to spiral.
No worries. I will say the next episode will get more information about the bigger picture, and you'll be able to theorize a bit more on some maybe missing bits and pieces of information that you don't have currently. But yeah.
Nice. I look forward
I think
to
that was
it.
a great discussion, despite you being super sleepy and just waking up. Yeah, that's the reason why I started with yawning this entire time, guys. We had to record super early in the morning for her, so yeah, apologies for that. That's just how it is, unfortunately. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll see you all in the next episode. Later, my dudes.
Bye bye.